So if you're trying to view your custom events for different behaviors on your website within Universal Analytics, you go under Behavior and then the Events section. Right now, we're in the Top Events tab. And you'll be able to see all of these different event categories and then their associated actions and labels within this Explore table here. Right now, what we're concerned about on the Workshop Digital side is this clicks on CTA button event here. We can drill down and see generally what that looks like in UA. It's a CTA button, it's a click, and the label will be the actual text of those CTA buttons. But say you want to recreate something like this or a similar version of it within Google Analytics 4. Well, from your home screen, we're going to go over to view where our custom events even are in the admin section. Now, given that all hits, all actions within GA4 are custom events, technically, or at least they are built as events, how we distinguish between UA custom events and events within GA4, it's not quite the same, but we are trying to create a custom event here. So we'll go into our admin and we will click on events and we will take a look at what is already firing through. I believe there's no CTA button click within our custom events now. So that's what we're going to do. Sometimes you can just create an event from here, and we'll get into that use case in a bit. Largely, this is going to be for creating or segmenting events that are already happening on the site, such as creating a single event to tell you when a certain type of page view has occurred that's already being tracked on the site. Sometimes, though, a specific event isn't already captured within GA4, and so you can't segment out a piece of that interaction, and you need to go make sure that that event is being fired somewhere else within your overall analytic structure. For us, that's going to happen within Google Tag Manager. You can see all of our tags here, and to create a new custom event in GA4, we're going to create a brand new tag. We'll name this event something descriptive like GA4, CTA button, click, and we'll set up our tag configuration. The one you want to find is this Google Analytics GA4 event tag. You'll select a configuration tag where either you can set your ID manually based on your measurement ID, or if you've already set up a GA4 configuration tag, you can select it from this drop-down menu here, and it will automatically track to the right property. And then we're going to create an event name. Unsurprisingly, we will call this CTA button click to match exactly what we have in Universal Analytics. You can set some event parameters, properties, and other settings, but for your basic event tracking structure, you just need the measurement ID and the button or the event name. Then we need to set up a trigger. We're going to need to create a new trigger for this because we don't have one pre-built. That's going to be a fairly straightforward process for the particular button that we want to click. We're going to call this CTA button, and we're actually going to just specify one type of button today. We're not going to go into a slightly more complex setup for tracking all types of buttons. We're just going to narrow down to one in particular. So we're actually going to call this Contact Us. For our trigger configuration, we want to find a button click, all elements click here. And we're going to choose some clicks. Now, we're going to have a bunch of different options for the variable that we choose from within this. So the first thing we actually want to do is go determine what variables are even available to us within the particular element that we want to track. So I'm on Workshop Digital's request quote page, which is what happens when you hit Contact Us up here. And I'm going to scroll down because the CTA that I want to track is just this actual Contact Us button, which takes us into /contact. I'm going to right click this and inspect the element. And I'm going to see that this button in particular has a class called copy block button. and I'm going to copy that element, just the text of that particular attribute. And I'm also going to take note of the fact that it has a link attribute that takes us to /contact, because that's going to be important for segmenting down to this particular button. If I go over back to Google Tag Manager, I can choose the click classes, because again, that's what we have here is this class. And I'm going to say contains copy block underscore button, which is exactly the class that we copied from that element. I'm also going to note that click URL contains /contact, which is the URL that that button was pointing to. So what this says is actually creates a trigger for any clicks on any element where the class is copy block button and the click URL is /contact. And we'll hit save on that. So now our event is ready to go, and we'll hit save again. Before we actually publish anything, we do want to preview this tag to make sure that things actually work properly. I'm going to grab this URL again, this request quote page, and hit preview. We're going to paste this in as our website's URL and hit connect, and then it'll connect and open up a new window. Once it's ready to go, you hit continue, and it will show you which tags were fired automatically just on the load of this page. Because we've already set this up before, we have the GA4 measurement ID configuration tag firing, which is just to say this is the tag that fires all basic tracking into GA4. Now I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to scroll down and click Contact Us. The page will load, and I'll pop over to Tag Assistant again and look for that particular tag that I had created. We see that here under Contact Us, that the GA4 CTA button click actually occurred on this request a quote page, which is exactly what we wanted. And we're actually going to double check by going over to this this tag up here, which is our measurement ID for GA4. The hits sent are going to be, of course, normal page views across all of our different pages, scroll event, and here we see that that CTA button click event fired just like we wanted. Popping back over to Google Tag Manager, of course, submit this, give it a name, CTA button click. You can give it a description if you like, and then we'll hit publish, and this thing will go live. Once that event has actually been fired through Tag Manager, it should start appearing within your event section and all of your event-based reports, usually within 24 hours, assuming that that event gets any hits. Once you create a custom event, it does typically take 24 hours for that new event to start showing up within GA4 due to how that data is generally processed, though you can sometimes see the event pop up in the real-time reports as you're doing testing. In general, though, you want to rely on Tag Manager's preview tool if you're firing anything through Google Tag Manager, because that will give you, real-time in the moment testing data on what hits are being sent, which tags and events are being fired, and where they end up within GA4, just like we did a moment ago. Sometimes, though, you're already tracking an event and you just want to segment down or segment out a particular version of that event. The closest comparison to universal analytics would be goal completions that are set up based on destination pages. We have plenty of those within our account, which I'll show you in universal analytics. Going over to admin and goals for this reporting view, we can see that there are several destination-based goals. So let's go over to Contact Us, and we'll see our details based on this destination goal is any page views that begin with this /thank you path. We can go to Google Analytics 4 and see that we do actually have an event somewhere in here that is based on that particular page path. We also have several page view events set up for various sections on our site that we want to track specifically as their own events so that they can be highlighted later. If I wanted to create an event for that thank you destination, I would hit create event here. And when you hit create event, you can see all of the events that you've already created in the past. This is pretty straightforward. You're going to create a new event, and it's going to look something like this. You'll name the event whatever you want it to be. In our case, we've used a lot of capital letters in this sort of title case fashion, but in general, you want to use this underscore type event naming to create whatever this is going to be. In our case, goal TY page view. For your matching conditions, you need to set up a few things to specify exactly what you're looking at. First, you need an event name to select what type of event you're trying to segment out. In our case, this is going to be a page view. And second, you need a secondary parameter to tell you which portion of those events that you want to segment out. In this case, we're looking at page location, and we're saying it contains /thank you. This is a broad match for any of our thank you pages that might come from Contact Us, and make sure that we are tracking in case there are any parameters appended to that, maybe from ad campaigns or any other internal tracking parameters that just might end up on that /thank you. This custom event will capture that. I generally like to keep these broad as possible for that exact reason, but sometimes you need to be a bit more specific. And in general, I like to copy parameters from the source event. Parameters are what allows any custom event to be distilled even further to give us a little bit more information about where that event occurred, or generally what happened with it, or any other details that we might pass through our event setup. And if you're basing something off a custom event that or a standard event that already exists, we want to copy those parameters over to make sure we're not losing any information. With that, we can hit save. And again, if this were a new custom event, this would take about 24 hours for this information to start showing up. So that's the basics of creating a custom event. Again, there are two ways to do it, either within the GA4 platform itself or through a tag manager system where you're specifying certain conditions under which to fire that and what that should be named and what other information you would be capturing with that custom event.